It is really an honor to be here today and talk about one of my true passions in life. One of my true passions in life, and it goes back to about 15 years ago. 15 years ago, 15 years ago, we were starting this journey of entrepreneurship at Stevens. And I was in a meeting with the provost and the deans of each of the different schools. And they asked me, one of the deans says, "Gary, what are you passionate about? What keeps you up at night? Because you know, after taking this course, what do you need as an entrepreneur?" Exactly right. Who said that? Who said that? Come on up here. Come on, give her a round of applause, okay? From Malaysia. All right, so it takes passion. So the dean wanted to know, what was I passionate about? And I told him I am passionate about my wife. Thank you. Now, I don't think he expected me to say that, right? He didn't expect me to say that I was passionate about my wife, but I was passionate about my wife. Now, I'm also passionate about entrepreneurship. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is entrepreneurship. But before we get too far, I want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate all of you for, number one, attending one of the top universities in Malaysia, right? Number two, for completing this new and very challenging entrepreneurial course, right? And number three, for wanting a better life. How many of you want a better life? Raise your hand. Great. I don't have any more t-shirts, so nice try though, okay? Okay, now, the thing about wanting a better life is I've got some good news, and I've got some bad news, and I've got some important news. Which one do you want first? Which one? Let me try it again. Good news, bad news, and important news. Which do you want first? Did you say bad news again? No, look. Okay, which do you want to hear first? Did they say important? I don't know. I can't. Okay, I'm going to give you the important news first. The important news is you are the future of Malaysia. You are. All these people here, especially Dr. Fauci, they're old. Not Dr. Fauci though, okay? 30 years from now, we will be gone. You will be the new leaders of Malaysia. But there's some bad news. And the bad news is we can no longer count on the government or large companies to provide for us. We can no longer think that the government is going to give us a paycheck every week, every month. Those days are gone. At least one person is happy. They're clapping. That's good. Right? My father-in-law worked for GE for 40 years. 40 years, and then he retired. Those days are gone. Which leads us to the good news. The good news is there is a path forward. There is a way to get out of the mess that almost every company and almost every country finds themselves in. People and companies are downsizing. But entrepreneurship is a way for you to take your future in your own hands and be the manager of your own destiny. All right? But, don't you hate when people say but? What's the Malay word for but? Nabi? I trust Dr. Rizza to tell me. Kedabi. Kedabi. But it is not going to be easy. You're going to have to take the path less traveled. Okay? It's a saying, and it says, the elevator to the top is always out of order. And we have to be willing to take the stairs. We have to be willing to take the stairs. You have to have the courage to try something new. All right? Now, I'm an engineer. How many of you are engineers? Raise your hand. Oh, see, all the engineers are over here. Why is that? Nobody else likes you? What's going on there? Okay? Now, in engineering, it's not easy, right? Exactly. In engineering, we have to take courses like thermodynamics and calculus 1, 2, 3, statics and dynamics and materials, right? We have a saying at Stevens, and the saying is this: if you go into the School of Arts and Science, you hear students running up and down the hall saying, I got an A! I got an A! And you go in the engineering school and you hear students running up and down the hall yelling, I passed! They can relate, right? They can relate. So you have to have the courage to try. The courage to try something new. Okay? But if you try something new, what might happen? You try something new, what might happen? You might fall down. Exactly right. So when I was 12 years old, When I was 12 years old, I was working in my father's shoe store. That's it, my father's shoe store. 12 years old. Saturday morning, 8 a.m., I was cleaning the store, vacuuming the carpeting, washing the windows, cleaning the bathroom. I did it all. I was fired by my father. First job I ever had. Can you imagine? Somebody said, yeah, they can imagine. You must have had a father like I had, right? I was fired, okay? Then what do you do? What do you do? Now you're fired. So I asked him, I said, Dad, can I borrow your window washing equipment? And he said, yes, you can. And I started my first business at 12. It was a commercial window washing business. And I built it to 70 commercial accounts and then sold it for $500, 1,500 ringgits to a junior in high school who then sold to his brother. 10 years later, that company was still going, okay? Because I had the courage to try. I have a little more bad news. Can we get that sound fixed, or is that not possible? Maybe I'll stand up here. Okay, so I have a little more bad news, and that is, if you try something new, you are likely to fall down. You are likely to fall down, and you are likely to fail. There's a difference between failing and being a failure. I want to share with you hold on one second, where is it? I want to share with you the secret to the American success story. The secret to the American success story is it is okay to fail. It's okay to fail. Actually, if we would be in Silicon Valley, the hotbed of innovation and entrepreneurship, if I would say, how many of you have failed? Arms would shoot up in pride. Why? Because they know with every failure, they are that much closer to their next success. Okay? But the U.S. is almost unique in this way, that failure is okay. In most other cultures, failure is taboo. We have friends back in the United States, and they told us that a B is a Chinese F. How many of you can relate to that? A B is like terrible. How many can relate to that? Oh, not very many. Okay, that's great. Okay, so in the U.S., I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but anyway, okay, in the U.S., failing is okay, all right? Which brings me to here. And that is, the key to entrepreneurship are two things. Number one is the courage to try something new. Number two, what do you think? What's the second thing? The courage to try, and then what do you think? Nobody wants to answer because I told you I gave out all my t-shirts, okay? The courage to try, and the second is the determination to get back up. The determination that when things don't go your way, you will get back up, brush yourself off, and try again. Okay? All right, so when I was 10 years old, I got this as a present. It's my favorite toy. Do you have this in Malaysia? My favorite toy. Why? Because you hit it and it comes back up. You hit it and he comes back up. And it's like a life lesson, right? Life isn't always going to be wonderful. That's not what life is. But it is about getting back up after you're hit. So, I'll show you how I applied that lesson. I applied to the Kellogg Graduate School of Management at Northwestern, okay? The Kellogg, to get my MBA. Now, the Kellogg Graduate School of Management is the undisputed #1 graduate school in the world for marketing, which was my area of interest. Undisputed. And so in August, I applied for September. What do you think they did? You're exactly right, Provost Chris. I was rejected. They rejected me. Got the letter and everything. Gary, thank you, but we don't want you. I got that letter on Friday at 3 o'clock. So what do you do with that? You get this letter. What do you do with that? I did the only reasonable thing. I got into my car Monday morning, 6 a.m., drove 3 hours to Kellogg, sat in the dean's office for 4 hours. I'm not exaggerating. 4 hours. I didn't have an appointment. Finally, she said, okay, come on in. I was in her office. She said, what can I help you with? I said, very calmly, I said, I am here today because I sincerely believe that you have a chair with my name on it. I've just come to get it. Pretty good, right? Come on. Pretty good, right? She said, no, I'm sorry. We are all filled. We don't have any chairs. So I said, I have a couple folding chairs at home that I can bring, set up in the back of the class, and I promise I won't take up much room. She said, we'll reopen your application. 3 days later, I got an acceptance letter. I have an acceptance and a rejection letter from Kellogg. I went there. It's a 2-year program. The second year, they invited me to give the incoming speech to the welcoming new students, okay? But it was only because I got hit and I got back up. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes in life. So, how many of you have an iPhone? Raise your hand. How many of you have an iPhone? Come on, I know more of you don't have. Come on, who has an iPhone? What do the rest of you have? What? Okay, well I didn't plan on that, but let's just say a lot of you had iPhones for a second, okay? Play with me here. Okay, now, you know who was one of the founders of Apple? Steve Jobs. Do you know he was fired? He was fired from the company that he founded. All right? But he went back. He stayed with it. He was determined, right? And he then he started Pixar. He came back to Apple. All right? How about Henry Ford? Henry Ford, you've heard of the Ford Motor Company, right? Ford Motor Company. Henry Ford was bankrupt 5 times. 5 times before he founded Ford. How about Michael Jordan? You know who Michael Jordan is? Michael Jordan, the best basketball player who has ever lived. He was cut from the high school basketball team. They said, "You are not good enough." They would not let him play on his high school basketball team. So what did he do? Did he quit? No. Every day he practiced 1,000 shots. 1,000 shots until he became good enough to be drafted by the Chicago Bulls and won 3 national titles because he was determined to get back up and be a success. Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, arguably the most popular, most famous U.S. president of all time, freed the slaves. He was defeated in 26 elections. How many of you have heard of Vice Chancellor Tanshri? Vice Chancellor Tanshri, who's heard of her or knows her? Who's heard of her? Okay, she is the reason why we are all here today. Because she had the courage to try something new. This is the biggest, the largest class of entrepreneurship of anywhere in the world. Because Vice Chancellor Tanshri decided that we were going to do it. And she was determined that even though there were problems, right? There were problems, right? Even though there were problems, she was determined to get this right because she knows that entrepreneurship is so important for you, your career, and for Malaysia. All right, so when you graduate, you will be getting a diploma. And it will be coming soon. You will see, like a blink of an eye. Blink of an eye, you will be graduating. I know that sounds hard to believe now, but anyway. Now, wouldn't it be nice on the back of your diploma, if you turned it over and there was a ticket. There was a ticket that you could use if you tried a business and failed. And you could take this ticket and use it to make the failure less painful. Wouldn't that be nice? Exactly. Well, I've got some good news. I located a startup company. It was a startup company and they produced these tickets, right? And when you leave in the back of the room, if you want one, they have them and you can get them. And this is a freedom to fail ticket. If you fail in business, you just pull this out and this makes the failure much easier. Okay? How is that? Does that sound pretty good? Okay, now, but some of you, you're not impressed, I can tell. Because some of you may have already experienced a business failure, right? How many of you have already experienced a business failure? Raise your hand. How many? Anybody? Okay, come on down. Those 2 right there. Come on. Come down. You 2. Yes? Oh, they're not coming down. Okay. Who else? Who else has experienced a business failure? Come on, this is a good thing. Who has experienced? See, nobody wants to admit to it. Come on. Anybody experienced a business failure over here? Okay, come on up. Yes, you. Yes. Anybody else? That's exactly right. Okay, give him a round of applause. Come on. Anybody else? I have started a company. It's a new company, and we produce these. I'm going to give you one. Everybody's going to be wanting one of these. I'm telling you, it's going to be hot. It's the business burn kit, all right? If you get burnt, come on all the way up here. What's your name? Cerise. How about a big round of applause to Cerise? It's a business burn kit. When you get burned, you take one of these special towels. They have been specially formulated. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's very special. And you take this, you go like this. And you can put it on your forehead, or you put it on the back of your neck. And it's like you're instantly rejuvenated and revitalized. And you're the only one that gets this. Give them a round of applause. Okay, how about that? So it brings us to where we are now. And that is that it's important to remember that just because you have failed does not mean that you are a failure. My sincere wish for you is that you have the passion to try something new. That you have the passion to try a new business. That you have the determination that when it doesn't go right, to get back up and try again. Because just because you have failed, it only means that you are not yet successful. Thank you. Thank you very much.